In today's video, we'll explore the countries that do not recognize Israel in 2025. Despite Israel's existence as a sovereign state since 1948, many countries in the Middle East, Asia, and Africa still refuse to recognize its legitimacy. These countries are motivated by historical, religious, and political reasons, with most opposing Israeli occupation of Palestinian territories. Why do these nations continue to reject Israel? Like, subscribe, and watch till the end as we dive into the 31 countries that do not recognize Israel and understand their reasons behind this decision. Number 31. Maldives. Maldives does not recognize Israel, largely because of its support for Palestinian statehood and opposition to Israeli occupation. The Maldives has consistently voted in favor of Palestinian sovereignty at the UN and international forums. In 2025, the Maldives maintains a strict pro-Palestinian stance, rejecting Israeli military actions and supporting Palestinian liberation efforts. Number 30. Belize. Belize has maintained a neutral stance on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict but does not formally recognize Israel. The country's decision is largely influenced by its foreign policy of supporting Palestinian self-determination and aligning with the Caribbean states' position on Israel. Belize advocates for Palestinian rights and supports international efforts for a two-state solution. Number 29. Bolivia. Bolivia does not recognize Israel, primarily due to its support for Palestine and its condemnation of Israeli military actions in Gaza. Under President Evo Morales, Bolivia strongly aligned with Palestinian advocacy, severing diplomatic ties with Israel in 2009. Bolivia's stance is a part of its broader anti-imperialist foreign policy. Number 28. Cuba. Cuba has historically supported Palestinian independence and has never recognized Israel. The country views Israel's actions in Palestinian territories as violations of human rights. Fidel Castro expressed solidarity with Palestinians throughout his leadership, and this stance remains in place in 2025 as Cuba continues to advocate for a free Palestinian state. Number 27. Venezuela. Under Hugo Chavez and continuing with Nicolas Maduro, Venezuela has supported Palestinian independence and refused to recognize Israel. Venezuela's anti-imperialist stance, combined with its alignment with Iran and other anti-Israel nations, makes it a vocal opponent of Israeli policies, especially military actions in Gaza and settlement expansion in the West Bank. Number 26. Tunisia. Tunisia has been an outspoken critic of Israeli policies in Palestine and does not recognize Israel. As a member of the Arab League, Tunisia supports Palestinian sovereignty and has condemned Israeli occupation of East Jerusalem and the West Bank. Tunisia's foreign policy aligns with Arab solidarity and the two-state solution for Israel and Palestine. Number 25. Somalia. Somalia does not recognize Israel due to its support for Palestinian self-determination. As a Muslim-majority nation, Somalia sees Israel's occupation of Palestinian territories as unjust. Somalia, like many Arab and African nations, continues to support Palestine in international forums and calls for an end to Israeli military actions in Gaza and the West Bank. Number 24. Niger. Niger does not recognize Israel as a state due to its solidarity with Palestine. Like many African nations, Niger supports the Palestinian cause, opposing Israel's occupation of Palestinian lands and military actions in Gaza. Niger's position is tied to its alignment with the Arab League and African Union support for Palestinian sovereignty. Number 23. Mauritania. Mauritania officially severed diplomatic ties with Israel in 2010 after Israel's military operation in Gaza. The country has consistently supported Palestinian independence and opposes Israeli actions in Palestinian territories. Mauritania's stance reflects its broader policy of supporting Arab unity and Palestinian self-determination and aligning with countries opposed to Israeli occupation. Number 22. Mali. Mali does not recognize Israel, maintaining strong ties with the Palestinian cause. As a country that values Islamic solidarity, Mali's foreign policy reflects its support for Palestinian statehood and its opposition to Israeli actions in Gaza. In 2025, Mali continues to voice support for international recognition of Palestine and refuses to engage diplomatically with Israel. Number 21. Libya. Libya, under Muammar Gaddafi, was one of the most vocal critics of Israel. Gaddafi supported Palestinian militants and described Israel as an apartheid state. In 2025, Libya's position remains firm as Palestinian solidarity is central to the country's foreign policy. Libya continues to support Palestinian resistance and rejects Israel's right to exist. Number 20. Djibouti. A Muslim-majority country does not recognize Israel due to its strong support for Palestinian independence. Djibouti has historically aligned with Arab states in their opposition to Israel and continues to back Palestinian sovereignty. In 2025, Djibouti remains one of the few African nations that does not have formal relations with Israel and rejects Israeli policies in Palestinian territories. Number 19. Comoros. Comoros does not recognize Israel, aligning itself with the Arab League and supporting the Palestinian cause. The country has consistently voted in favor of Palestinian statehood and opposed Israeli occupation of Palestinian lands. In 2025, Comoros continues to reject Israel's legitimacy, emphasizing solidarity with Palestinian rights and regional Islamic unity. Number 18. Algeria. Algeria's position on Israel is rooted in its anti-colonial history and strong support for Palestinian independence. Since the 1970s, Algeria has refused to recognize Israel and has been one of the most vocal supporters of the Palestinian resistance. In 2025, Algeria continues to advocate for Palestinian sovereignty and condemns Israel's actions in Palestinian territories. Number 17. Afghanistan. Afghanistan does not recognize Israel and has long supported the Palestinian cause. Under the Taliban regime, Afghanistan has strongly opposed Israel and sees it as an illegitimate occupier of Palestinian lands. In 2025, Afghanistan continues to support Palestinian self-determination and views Israel's presence in Palestine as a violation of international law. Number 16. Yemen. Yemen remains steadfast in its opposition to Israel. The country's Houthi-led government maintains strong ties with Iran and supports Palestinian resistance. Yemen views Israel as an enemy and a colonial force in Palestine. In 2025, Yemen continues to support the boycott, divestment, sanctions movement and calls for Israel's complete withdrawal from Palestinian territories. Number 15. Oman. Oman does not recognize Israel and supports the Palestinian cause. While Oman has maintained open lines of communication with Israel in recent years, it continues to advocate for a two-state solution. Oman's position reflects its desire for peace in the region, while rejecting Israel's occupation of Palestinian lands and the denial of Palestinian statehood. Number 14. Syria. Syria has never recognized Israel and views it as an illegitimate occupier of Palestinian and Syrian lands. The Golan Heights remains a major source of tension between the two countries. Syria has provided military support to Palestinian militants and continues to oppose Israel's actions. In 2025, Syria's position remains unchanged. Israel must withdraw from the Golan Heights. Number 13. Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia does not officially recognize Israel, despite some covert alliances emerging due to shared concerns about Iran's nuclear ambitions. Saudi Arabia continues to support the Palestinian cause and has called for an independent Palestinian state. In 2025, Saudi Arabia remains one of the leading Arab countries advocating for Palestinian rights in the international community. Number 12. Qatar. Qatar has refused to recognize Israel, emphasizing its commitment to Palestinian independence. While Qatar has engaged diplomatically with Israel in recent years, it has maintained its stance in support of Palestinian sovereignty. Qatar strongly condemns Israeli occupation and advocates for Palestinian statehood in international forums. In 2025, Qatar continues its support for Palestinian rights. Number 11. Pakistan. Pakistan does not recognize Israel, aligning itself with the Palestinian struggle. The country's Muslim-majority population and historical support for Palestinian independence ensure that Pakistan maintains a strong anti-Israel stance. In 2025, Pakistan continues to oppose Israeli military actions and calls for Palestinian self-determination, aligning with other Islamic nations in its diplomatic efforts. Number 10. Iran. Iran has consistently opposed Israel since the 1979 Islamic Revolution, where the regime replaced pro-Western leadership with the Islamic Republic. Iran views Israel as a colonialist regime and supports Palestinian resistance movements. In 2025, Iran's leadership remains unwavering in its stance, opposing Israel's policies and striving for Palestinian liberation through military support and diplomatic efforts. Number 9. Iraq. Iraq does not recognize Israel and maintains a strong stance of opposition due to its solidarity with the Palestinian cause. Iraq has been vocal in rejecting Israel's policies in the West Bank and Gaza. In 2025, Iraq continues to oppose normalization with Israel, largely due to its Arab nationalist identity and Islamic solidarity with Palestinians. Number 8. Kuwait. Kuwait does not recognize Israel, primarily because of its support for Palestinian self-determination. Kuwait has been a strong advocate for Palestinian rights at the UN and other international forums. In 2025, Kuwait's policy remains unchanged, and the country continues to voice opposition to Israeli occupation and supports Palestinian independence in all diplomatic channels. Number 7. Lebanon. Lebanon has never recognized Israel and is a strong opponent of Israeli policies in the Middle East. Lebanon's close ties with Hezbollah, a militant group supported by Iran, further fuels its hostility toward Israel. In 2025, Lebanon maintains its position against Israeli occupation in Gaza and the West Bank and continues to support Palestinian resistance. Number 6. North Korea. North Korea does not recognize Israel and views it as a puppet of the United States. The country has been a longtime advocate for Palestinian independence, providing political and material support to Palestinian groups. North Korea's anti-imperialist stance leads it to oppose Israel as a Western-backed colonial force, and it continues to support Palestinian sovereignty in 2025. Number 5. Malaysia. Malaysia has been a consistent critic of Israel, particularly due to its strong stance on Palestinian rights. Malaysia's government actively promotes the boycott, divestment, sanctions movement against Israel. In 2025, Malaysia continues to oppose Israeli policies in Palestine and has been vocal in international forums about the illegality of Israeli settlements and occupation of Palestinian territories. Number 4. Brunei. Brunei does not recognize Israel and is aligned with Muslim-majority countries in supporting Palestinian independence. Brunei's government consistently condemns Israel's actions in Gaza and the West Bank, viewing Israel as an illegal occupier. In 2025, Brunei remains committed to supporting Palestinian statehood and does not have diplomatic relations with Israel, reaffirming its stance against Israeli occupation. Number 3. Bangladesh. Bangladesh has long supported Palestinian sovereignty and does not recognize Israel. The country's Muslim-majority population is firmly aligned with the Palestinian cause, viewing Israel as a colonial force in Palestine. In 2025, Bangladesh continues to oppose Israeli policies and has called for Israeli withdrawal from Palestinian lands. Bangladeshi passport holders face restrictions in entering Israel. Number 2. Indonesia. Indonesia, the world's largest Muslim-majority country, does not recognize Israel, primarily due to its strong support for Palestinian independence. Indonesia has consistently advocated for Palestinian self-determination and opposed Israeli military actions. In 2025, Indonesia remains a key member of the non-aligned movement and continues to oppose Israeli occupation, calling for an independent Palestinian state. Number 1. Palestine. Palestine does not recognize Israel as a legitimate state. The Palestinian Authority and Hamas both refuse to accept Israel's occupation of Palestinian territories and its settlements in East Jerusalem. In 2025, Palestine continues to call for Israeli withdrawal and advocates for the establishment of an independent Palestinian state with Jerusalem as its capital. These countries, driven by historical ties, religious solidarity, and political alliances, continue to reject Israel's legitimacy in 2025. Their positions reflect the ongoing Israel-Palestine conflict and the global efforts toward Palestinian independence. Like, comment, and subscribe for more insights into international relations. See you next time.